The only thing that will change the experience for someone is changing their vibration. And if you don't know consciously how to change your vibration, if you don't have a starting point, if you don't have a central point, if you've not been made aware of what your emotions mean, if you don't understand about the grid, if you don't know who you really are, if you don't know how you really feel, if you don't know what negative emotion even means, if you don't have the ability that when you have negative emotion to move yourself from it, if you haven't figured out how to move the energy of your being, then you're getting beat up pretty good by the contrast of your time and place. And we understand why someone would say, hey, this cannot go on much longer. But it will. It is our promise to you. The best that you can do is an easy, casual, comfortable willingness to explore variety, knowing that you have guidance that lets you know what your best choices are. So explore and align and explore and align and explore and align. With this easy door to the vortex, understanding that it's all right, that everything's fine, that you are a worthy being and that good things are supposed to come to you and to others. In other words, the less guarded your stance is, the more you're going to enjoy your journey. And the less guarded your stance is, the more your journey will be the way you want it to be. And then the more subtle the variances will be. In other words, a perfect life, the one that you're looking for, we can feel it from your frequency. The perfect life that you're looking for is one with subtle variances in vibration and acute, astute awareness of where you stand in relationship to it. So that you're not going from joy to depression or from ecstasy to agony. You're going from less clarity to more clarity, to not as much fun to more fun, to I like you pretty good, to I adore you and want to lick your face. In other words, you're in these higher registries of, in other words, this contrast that we're talking about, we are not for a moment saying to you that you need to explore the breadth of all contrast in order to move forward. You can be in this physical body and exploring the contrast that only moves on the emotional scale from that feeling of contentment and absolute comfort into ecstasy. And you would not want to be in bouncing off the wall enthusiasm every moment of your day. It would make you exhausted. You like the variety in all of this, but you just don't need to dip into hatred and revenge and anger and depression and fear, you see. You don't have to dip into that.
Got it.
Now that you know what you know. So now we want you to understand that, it is so nice when you begin to recognize that you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. Because you activate a vibration, that vibration is powerful, it attracts other things like it, and you begin to notice these patterns. It's easier to notice them in others, isn't it? Especially those you live with. So easy to see the things that they're doing that are messing up your life, you see. But after a while, you begin to recognize that if you're not giving attention to what you think they're doing that's messing up your life, then it's not in your vibration. It's only by your attention to it. You really don't need to worry about what anybody else is doing unless you're giving attention to what they're doing and using what they're doing and your attention to what they're doing as your excuse to hold yourself out of vibrational frequency with who you really are and what you really want. Isn't that nice to know? Say yes. But we want you to understand something even further, that while, yes, it is a wonderful thing to understand that law of attraction is responding to the vibrational frequency that you are outputting, that there is a vibrational frequency that you have been outputting for a very long time that comes from the source, from the core, from the inner being of that which you are. And when you get out of sync with that, you don't feel good. And when you get in sync with that, you feel wonderful. And here is the best part of this whole thing, the best of all. When you acknowledge that that inner being part of you exists, and that it is the knower and the holder and the vibrational practicer and beer and emitter of the signal of all that you are, we're calling it your core grid. It's the energy that emanates from the very core of that which you are. When you understand that that signal is emanating, that it's flowing into your moment right here and now, it's not off in some heavenly place waiting for you to croak and catch up with it. It's right here, out here on the leading edge. All that you are is focused out here on the leading edge with you, in your powerful now, where all that is new is happening. So as this source energy is focused with you out here on the leading edge, and you happen in that moment to be standing in a place of alignment with who you are, whoa, what a good moment you're having. That's when love is radiating through you. That's when you're clear. That's when you're dynamic. That's when you're flexible. That's when you're clear-minded. That's when your heart is singing. That's when you feel good. That's when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. That's when your jokes are funniest because your timing is exquisite. That's when you look the best and feel the best. That's when you are the best. That's when you're allowing all that you've become to be present right here, right now, having this conversation with whoever you're having this conversation. In other words, to be tuned to who you are and living in your powerful now. That's what you planned. And everything else is just off a tad. We want you to adore your vortex and to know what it represents. And we want you to understand your grid and line up with it. But we want you to joyously explore. And when you get this, in other words, if you believe that it is a really scary world out there and that in your house with the big V on the door, this vortex house, that it's safe in there. And so you just stay in that safe house where only nice things are ever said. And you never explore. Oh, isn't that a sad picture? Don't you want to get out there? But you say no, because it's dangerous out there. I'd rather be safe in here than out there when there's danger. And we say, but what if you could go out there and you could have a vibrational frequency around you where you attract the best of everything that's out there wherever you are? And you say, yeah, I choose that option. And we say, then you got to practice yourself into that. But there's just one thing you got to know. You're not always going to be there, because the exploration automatically means that you're going to be in some situations where it's not always going to feel quite as safe and comfortable as you think you want it. But you can always return anytime you want, just like that, just like the State Farm commercial.
Very good.
You can always return. Vortex is there. You can always return. You can always return. So, we'll talk a lot today about the grid. The grid. Someone said, are you ever going to talk about the vortex again? No, we just like the grid now. The vortex is the holding pattern where all that you've asked for is. The grid is your vibrational stance, and when you strike it right with who you are, when you strike that vibrational stance with the core of who you are, and therefore everything that you've put into your vortex, then everything that is in your vortex that is wanted flows in. Your grid fills in with what you call manifestations. The grid fills in. The grid fills in. It fills in with an emotion first. It fills in with thought. It fills in with impulses. Then it begins to fill in with dialogue from others. It fills in, it fleshes out into what you call manifestation. So there are a couple of things that we want to establish at the beginning of this discussion about the grid. First, it is powerful. It's who you really are. It is emanating. It's not hard to find. Look for it. And second, don't try to fill it in yourself in any way other than establishing a vibrational pattern within you that allows all of the pieces, all the exquisite, specific, deliberate pieces that you put into your vortex to flow into your experience. And those who are watching you who don't really understand this, they'll be amazed at what they see, because they will notice that you're always stable, you're feeling good, and that everything you want flows to you. They'll say, who are you? Who are you? How is it that you just establish an idea and it just flows to you as if to say, here, beloved one, is this what you had in mind? They'll say, that's just freaky. And you'll say, felt a little odd at first to get everything I want as fast as I want it. But after a while, I started to get used to it. I started to realize that that's sort of why I'm here. I'm here to decide what I want, to achieve vibrational alignment with it, and then to witness the grid filling in, witness the manifestational evidence of my focused point of attraction. Really good. So as long as you feel trapped and sort of like you want to run away, then that's the vibrational frequency that you're offering. And it doesn't matter what you say and what you do. That's the grid that is then going to begin to fill, or already is filling in. So the thing that we really want to convey to you, and it's more difficult for you to hear it when you've got this really pressing situation that is surrounding you. But if you can hear it, then you're going to discover a really wonderful resolution relatively easily. And that is, the thing that you want to do is bring yourself into alignment in a disassociated way, even with the catalyst that's making you reach for it. That's such an interesting thing, because the catalyst that is making you want the alignment is also the catalyst that seems to be keeping you from it. And if you can show yourself that you can discover alignment, then you don't feel like you need to run away. In other words, what's happening to you is you're observing unwanted things, and it makes you want to move away from those unwanted things. And we're not saying that you shouldn't move away from unwanted things, but we are suggesting in a very powerful way, when you align with who you really are, do some grid work where you are writing the statements every day, the emotional statements of what you're reaching for. Get into that general place of knowing who you really are and what you're reaching for. It is our promise to you that the grid will fill in with ideas, circumstances, and events that will help you to accomplish whatever it is that is the path of least resistance for you. But if you try to fill your own grid in other words, so many people would understand if you wanted to say, hey, it's been good, but it's not good now, and so I'm going to go someplace where it feels better. And there's nothing wrong with seeking an arena that feels better to you. We encourage it from every standpoint. We just don't encourage you to try to move to it by filling the grid in until you've done the vibrational work. Because when you do the vibrational work, then you're not torn in your decision. Then you're not waffling all over the place. Then you're not tortured with the decision, should I or shouldn't I? When you do the grid work and you find alignment with who you really are, and you line up with the fullness of who you are, and you allow that power to flow up from the core of that which you are, the ideas that flow to you will be ideas of confidence and clarity, and you will never look back. You won't second guess your decision. You won't wonder if you did wrong. You won't wonder if you did right. You'll know that this was the path of least resistance, that this was the path that was leading you to all that you have been wanting. You've put all kinds of things into your vortex, you see. And the path of least resistance is whatever vibrational stance you can accomplish that gets you in the most satisfying, most comfortable, most timely manner to those things that you are asking for. And so many of you have somehow convinced yourself that you are supposed to live your life in sort of deprivation of what matters to you and in service of what matters to someone else. And then you get all resentful and all bound up in it and all feeling not free. And so you stay because it's the right action. You feel your grid in from the wrong vibrational stance. You don't have a very good time. The people around you aren't having a very good time. And then you croak, finally, into pure positive energy. We know you heard that. It's going to take a little doing to practice it, but we promise you it will be fun if you will allow it to be. And most of all, we would encourage you not to spend any time trying to justify the decision that you've made. But more important, don't make a decision until you're so lined up that clarity is yours. And when clarity is yours, then the decision will feel right because it is right. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can define. But fortunately, we don't have to define it in words because we can define it with energy. It has been a powerful leading-edge conversation that we've experienced today. It is our desire that you leave this forum understanding these few things. These are the only things that you need to know to live happily ever after. Life is supposed to feel good to you. You are supposed to feel good in this moment. And the larger part of you does. And when you don't, you're just having your own little tantrum that you're not up to speed with who you really are. And it's a justified, valid tantrum. Because not being up to speed with who you are doesn't feel good, no matter how you are measuring your tantrum or your reason for it with the others in the scope of humanity. It doesn't matter. Your tantrum is legitimate. Next, you are the only one who can get over your tantrum. And the way you do it is by understanding how this all fits together, by understanding that you are the creator of your own reality. The most important thing that we want you to leave this gathering remembering is that we are all in this together, and that we are right here with you, flowing with you, offering you clarity about things that are important to you. And the better you feel, the more in harmony with that clarity you are. And last, we want you to know But there isn't anything that you're supposed to be doing. You can't get it wrong. You're not supposed to be doing something that you're not doing. There's not some list of things.